Okay, welcome to, I don't know what week or race this is in the iRacing INDYCAR series. This is the series that follows the official INDYCAR series. So we are at Detroit, not the new street circuit, but Belle Isle, which I love Belle Isle. It's one of my favorite tracks. Always love a good street course. It'd be interesting to drive the new Detroit track. But it's Wednesday night, so no alcohol here. Got a Heineken Zero in a sparkling water from Wegmans. So hopefully that's enough to get me through all of this. We're starting on the inside on the fourth row in seventh place. Qualified really, really well. I was the last car in the 113s. So really happy given the size of the field and how challenging passing is at this course to have qualified where I am. Just gonna need to get this first lap solid and then we'll be fine. Like the goal is don't wreck or get wrecked in the first lap, but we'll take it from there. So let's go. Leader is still waiting for the green. Gone. Crap, bad start. Ben Dickey's gonna get the pass there on the outside. Not gonna be able to fight him, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take that. No biggie there. Take it nice and easy. Got some two wides going behind. Car off here on the left. Gonna be able to avoid that. Gonna get on a push to pass to avoid this. I got getting hit from cars from behind. What in the world? Bud, you've got no wing. What in the world is going on here? Try not to brake too late. Lots of cars braking real late. This 9 car, Thorsten, or what in the world are you on your qualifying setup? That's some speed through there, man. All right, do I have damage? How is it that cars are getting such insane runs on me? Maybe I'm just taking it nice and easy. I did push the brake bias a little forward. No, everyone seems to be pulling away pretty quickly, not gaining behind. Must just be some solid runs. We'll see more of that as the race goes on. There's plenty of time to continue here. I do tend to take it pretty easy the first few laps, so I don't mind losing a few positions, that one car off. Certainly I lifted there as they were going off on the right. I didn't want to get involved in something. Ooh, pushing a little out there. Gonna have to get on the gas real early, so Will Weiser behind on the primary tires. Not gonna get too much of a run. I am on the alternate tires, so the stickier compound tires should have better lap times. Losing pace to everyone up front, so that's kind of a bummer with my race setup here, but we'll just have to see how this race settles out. There are 70 laps and we are on lap 2, so not much of an issue there. Do I have damage? No damage. Car looks clean. Getting a dive here from Will. I'm going to stay on the outside and push that. I do not want to give that up, and I've got the grippier tires, so I want to keep that going for myself. I don't want to give that up easily to Will, but I know Will is a clean racer, so he was not going to push me out there, especially in the second lap. But risky move from me to try and push that. I'm just losing on everyone in the straights. What in the fuck? How is it this much of a difference? Go ahead and take it, Will. That is astonishing. So I'm putting up, what, 23? Am I on the wrong setup entirely? What in the world? I must have a ton of wing here. Love to know what setup I'm on and why I am going so absurdly slow. Gearing seems fine, so it doesn't feel like I'm on an Indy setup, but then look, Will just getting that drive out without like a significant difference there. So what's that lap time for me? 118. Terrible. And not really gaining a lot. Will just pull it away like a second there. Okay. Brake bias seems fine. Oh god, oh god. I'm on map 8. What an idiot. Holy shit, I can't believe I was doing that well in map 8. So map 8 is for pacing. No wonder I was not getting a good run there. What a waste of a push to pass earlier. So I'm gonna have to make up all of these positions back in 10th. Holy cow, how did I not notice that? That's what I get for recording a race and trying to save that little bit of extra fuel there on the start. Such a quick start. I should have just stayed in map 1. So going to be getting a lot better run here. Fuel map 1 is just full. full beans. It's a linear pedal. Maps 2 through 5. As the number goes up, you're spending a little bit more time at a higher or a lower RPM. So you're saving some fuel. They're your fuel saving maps, and map 8 is your most significant fuel saving. 6 and 7 are special. They're special curves. But look at this pace on the straightaway. Where did this come from? Okay, gonna have to fight that back, but we've got 70 laps to do it, so I'm not too worried. It does look like it's gonna be a two-stopper. Ran the math beforehand, that's what it seemed. I just need to decide if I'm going to switch to the primary tires, the harder, less grippy tires, at the first stop so that I can finish on the alternates, or if I'm going to switch up to just go alternate primary and finish on those harder tires. I think I'm going to take it in the middle, but I'm just going to have to take it as it comes, especially as I'm making up pace on the cars ahead who are on those primary tires. It looks like I should catch them. With how insanely stacked of a strength of field this is today, I'm really hoping for a top 10 finish. So excited to be here where I am. There's 70 laps for chaos to happen for me or for anyone else. So my goal is to avoid that myself. Okay, so did it like an 18.8 previously. This is a 15.3. That is a much better lap. I cannot believe I was in map 8 for that long. Took me too long to go look down at that little yellow box that says mix. But should be able to get a pass here on Will soon enough. With the tire differential, that's not going to help. My brake bias still pushed forward a little. Let's bring that back as the race has gone on and the front tires are taking a nice bit of abuse there. Glad I don't have any damage. What an insane run. That might have done something. Front wing looks fine. It's not sticking up anymore on the right-hand side there, but cool. No damage from the spotter. So now I need to get ahead of Will. I've already burned 2 push-to-passes. You only get 10 in this race. If I'm going to go down to 7 left with like 60 laps to go, 65 at this point, that's going to be tricky. So I'm going to just try and get a better run on the main straight to get past Will, and I'll really be able to push that with our tire differential. But I'm going to need to stay close coming out of those corners and then try and put pace on everyone else up ahead and try and stay ahead of Will, because Will is obviously on those primary tires right now. Should still be no damage. Cool. You can hit the walls pretty darn hard here without too much going wrong. I'm sure that I will now take race-ending damage from the walls, having said that. Not nearly close enough to Will. Need to be within 2/10, like need to be right in his tail coming out of there. But I am making up time in the slower sections from the grippier tires. I don't have too many laps left of like insane difference on these alternates. So I'm trying to think about how to make this pass. Here we go. Let's just downshift, get the car rotating and not hit that wall. Then understeer through that corner too. I'm pushing a little too hard. I need to calm down. I need to just get this race. I'm happy in 10th. I need to remember that. And not push too hard to try and make this pass happen. It will come or it won't. I just need to be conscious of my driving for the next 64 laps. There's a lot left here. But should, like I said, have the advantage on Will. Would have just stayed ahead if I had been in the right fuel map to start, but that's on me for not paying attention. I should have noticed right away. Just getting that worst start, it just felt wrong. I could tell the motor wasn't revving up, but there's so much going on, trying to take in so much information. That wasn't coming up as the most important information I needed to consume right then. Will glance on the wall there, not too bad. Still 6/10, so keeping pace. Alan behind, making some pace up as well, so need to keep that in mind. Alan on those alternate tires, so they are grippier. Oh, I guess same grippiness as mine. There we go, getting nice and close. Getting on the throttle as early as I can. Oh no, please, no damage to me. Okay, Will, that's a bummer that Will took that damage. I don't know how I got out of that unscathed. That is unfortunate. Only 7 laps in, and Will didn't seem to be pushing. It just seemed like almost a hardware failure. Just kind of went all cockeyed. I don't know if that was maybe some... I don't know what caused that. But that's a bummer to Will. It's really not great to see that. You don't You know, I don't like to make passes like that. I mean, obviously I'll take the position, but I like a good race. Because now we're just sitting here. I need to get hot laps in. Need to keep time on the 14 behind me, and I want to make time on the 5 up ahead. So with the distance to everyone staying pretty consistent here, I think I'll go ahead and let y'all go. And we'll catch up as this race gets a little more interesting. Hopefully it's not a wreck and it's catching someone and racing. But we'll see. Lots of alternate tires ahead. Just the 9 and the 10 that I can see. I think there are more on the primary ahead. Some of the folks that are just insanely fast. So we'll see how all this goes. At a minimum, I'll bring it back before I head into the pits and start to talk about pit strategy. But I will catch. Okay, coming up on 1 lap until we pit. Got pretty close to Brian here, but I did switch into fuel map 2, trying to get a sense of how much fuel that's going to save me. I need to get 24 laps on one of these runs. I think I'll be fine to do that on the next run. I still honestly have not decided which tire I'm going to switch to. If I don't change anything, it's going to remain on the alternates, and I will go on the primaries following that. Ooh, we got a car off on the left. That's Victor, the 20 car. That is unfortunate, Victor. Hopefully that's recoverable and they can get back on track. But this lap, we will come in for fuel. I need to save an entire lap of fuel next time or the time after. I think I'm going to go on the primaries just to be able to finish on the alternates. We are starting to catch a lot of traffic, but it seems to be pretty spread out, so I'm not too worried about needing the alternates to get through everything. So let's make that switch as we're heading over primaries. There we go. I'm going to stay in fuel map 2 and try and get that little bit of extra fuel, but I'm kind of expecting being on the primaries taking a little bit longer to get around the track. I'm going to be spending more time at full throttle and saving a little bit less fuel. So I kind of expect that to be another 23 lap stint. I'll have to push the final stint, but I'll be on the stickier tires with a gripped up track. So let's get in the pits and see how this goes.
We're going to need rubber spoon. Take it easy.
Here we go. Okay, get into the pit box here and put my glove back on. Pretty close here to Brian. So this pit stop is gonna get interesting. Oh, I'm gonna miss it! Too far, too far! Okay, that's gonna cost me. That's gonna cost me. That's a good second and a half, 2 seconds I just lost there. So let's get out of here. There goes Brian.
Okay, punch it.
Brian staying on the alternates, so that means we'll be at a different set of tires coming out of the race. So cool, that didn't mess me up too much and put me too close to cars finishing up another lap. So Nelson right behind, gonna take that to 24 laps. Gonna be braking a little early as things settle in, but like I said, staying in fuel map 2, trying to push that little bit extra, but this lap's gonna be a little bit slower. I'm really disappointed in coming into the pits there, but bummer. Let's look at how those tires did. So I was getting told those tires were starting to wear out. Yeah, left side taking a beating there, so it'll be interesting. I do need to switch over to the alternates. I shouldn't have clicked so far over, but I'll wait till I get back on the straight to start messing with the box again. But okay, 67 laps of fuel to add with my current, or 67 liters of fuel to add with my current fuel usage. So that's one extra lap, essentially. We're looking at about 2.9 liters per lap. Losing a lot of time to Brian here, but I'm really trying not to push it, being on these alternate tires. We did see Brian kind of fall off on those alternates compared to how I did. I do tend to drive decently fast in the primaries, but I'm still, I'm going to be losing time just from being on that alternate, on the primary tire compound. Last one was the alternates. I can't speak right now, so I'm braking a little bit early everywhere. I got a few more laps until I'm going to really start pushing it. I want to get some heat into these tires, get them really activated. One of my biggest faults is coming out of the pits on the harder tires and just getting on the gas too hard and expecting the same level of grip I just had, even on the worn alternates. The brand new primaries just need a little bit more, especially at Detroit. Bouncing around, the tires really need to get a lot more compliant there. So let's go ahead and get this lap going. And yeah, let's see. So Nelson behind, wow, pushing 25 laps. That's a heck of a run. So they're going to have a really short fuel load, either this run or the one after that. Allen's 6 seconds behind. I believe they were 9, so 3 seconds lost. I didn't see what my pit stop time difference was. Where am I? Can't see it. I'm going to crash if I try and keep an eye on how much time I spent in pit lane versus everyone else. Okay, there I am, 31.8 versus 29, so about 2 seconds, 2 seconds lost. 1.9. So, gonna start pushing a little more. I want to get closer to my fast lap on the alternates, but I don't want to chase putting up fast laps like I do constantly on the alternates, because I am just on a less grippy tire compound, driving it a little differently, trying to straighten things out as I'm coming out rather than just letting the rear light up as I'm coming through. But we'll see how this all plays out. Looks like there's not going to be too much drama coming ahead, so just going to be looking at my fuel numbers, trying to make sure that I can come in with enough fuel to finish the race without needing to pit again, and still putting up quick laps against everyone else. I will need to switch to the alternate tires for the last and final, last means final, where are my words today? For that last pit stop. So, I'm going to focus up and try and get some nice laps in, try and gain some positions. We'll be back as something interesting happens. Hopefully that's catching someone and not just putting in hot laps, but who knows? I find putting in hot laps interesting, but I literally don't think I can talk for that long, especially on a Wednesday night. So I will catch y'all later. See you shortly. Bye. All right, we're within a second of Ben Dickey here, the number 12 car. 8 tenths right now, or I guess 9 tenths. Might as well round up. Ben has 5 push-to-passes left. I thought maybe he was fuel-saving for a minute, but he has used push-to-pass recently, so should catch Ben in the next few laps. I am in fuel map 3, trying to save just a little bit of fuel, more than in fuel map 2. 2 was cutting it close. I'd like to leave just a little in the tank. I can then use that push-to-pass this round, in which case I will go back to fuel map 1. I don't think I'm going to use it here, but I do want to see what I can do in comparison to Ben. I don't want to lose too much time to Brian or Thorsten up ahead, though they are quite far ahead with how much time is left in the race. Going quite slow through there. I was making a lot of time up on Ben on the straights from what I'm now remembering and trying to pay attention. So I think in this next lap I might go to fuel map 1, try and get ahead, use at least 2 push-to-passes, or use at most 2 push-to-passes to try and get that pass off. We got 9 laps until I'm going into the pits and cutting it close. If I do get ahead, I will have to go back to fuel saving, but I did make up quite a bit of time in this same map, so getting a lot better run there. I'm just going to make the run. I'm not even going to use push-to-pass, staying out. Going on the inside here. I'm not going to try and break any later. Ben braking a little early to just try and make that happen. Great sportsmanship there. You know, defended the inside, saw that I really wanted it, knew that there was plenty of time left in this race, so I'm not switching out of fuel map 3. I'm just going to keep my pace. I should be dragging Ben along with me for a bit, but I want to try and put some time on us. That way that draft starts to disappear and we can see what I can do to try and get away and hold this 8th position as we both switch back to the alternate tires at the next pit stop. We are on the same cycle. I don't know if Ben is doing the same fuel saving strategy I am. Essentially, he was using push-to-pass, like I said, but that was to pass the 28 car, who we're catching up to now, who has no wing. Oh no, please, hit the brakes. Do not go into this corner. What the fuck? What the fuck? What is this? If your car is fucked, please just get off the track. Like, just fucking park it. or stop and let folks by if there's a gap behind that you want to come through. 20th place is the last running position in the field right now. No reason to drive that car back to the pits with leaders coming up. Just bring that thing back into the pits, man. Like use the tow button. You're so close to the pits as well. It's not like crashing here in 3 where you got a lot of time left to drive, which same case, like use the tow button. Damage is, it makes the car hard to control. You might be trying to stay out of folks' way, but you might cause an incident just unnecessarily. So thankfully that didn't turn into anything, but anyone watching, take that as a lesson. Like don't let that happen to you. You don't want to be the one who accidentally took someone out when you were trying your best to avoid it and just put up laps. No reason, you know, once the 28 gets into the pits, gets that rear wing repaired, they can't get right back out there and race again. So we'll probably see them back on track and need to get past them again, but hopefully it'll be a little bit different than what happened there. That could have gone worse. That could have gone a lot worse. I'll say that. Like, all things considered, that could have been worse. But you want to really just try and reduce your own risk and your risk to others on track. Just manage that risk. So we got about, cutting it close. On fuel, might do a little bit of a few lifts into the big braking zones just to save an ounce more. But looking good for the fuel target right now. You can see that green box with the white line on it that says 6.6 right now. That white line shows how much fuel is left after passing the start-finish line. So cutting it real close, like getting into the pits, but that's where it's fine. It's I will make it. It's not a problem making it around. But I can get a little bit more of a buffer without costing myself too much time, I'm gonna go for it. So with that, Ben behind, putting a little bit of time on Ben, not really catching Brian or Thorsten up there. I would love to finish back in 7th if I could. I'm already in a top 10 position, which I said I was looking for, all things considered. So we got about 6 laps until we hop into the pits. We are going to be switching to those alternate tires, so if nothing happens before then, I will see you as we're getting ready to come into the pits and get on to the last stint. So catch y'all in a bit. Bye.
Slow car ahead. Slow down. You got a penalty for cutting the course.
So, gave myself a penalty there, lost a second and a half purely on penalty, trying to avoid Fabian. We were going into some tight braking zones. Someone else already called the 28 out there for just not being predictable. Wanted to avoid that entirely. I cut the course there. So something interesting happened. It was unfortunate. It was quick. That's a lot of time to lose, but it's not the end of the world. But I will have to make that time back up, so I'm hoping I've got enough fuel in the tank to use the rest of my push-to-passes as we're heading into the final stint with a nice rubbered up track with plenty of grip and those super grippy tires. So we'll see how that goes. I know that first lap is going to be interesting. I don't settle in as quickly as I would like to on those new tires, which is great when they're cold, which they are. But I'd love to just get a little bit more pace out of it. I'll just have to keep practicing that and improving there. But again, I will catch y'all shortly, just a handful of laps, as something more interesting happens and as we're coming into the pits and thinking about how the race is going to end here. So, bye. All right, coming into this final lap and getting ready to kind of run everything out. I am going to fuel up completely. If you look at that pink box down there that says 64.7, that is how much fuel I need to finish the race, but I am in fuel map 3. I have been saving fuel. I want to be able to like give it full beans, though that extra 5 liters isn't going to be the difference between winning and losing. It'll be a very small amount of fuel to add. I should be fine, but I do want to go map 1. I do want to be able to use push to pass, and I don't have a pit crew right now that can tell me what the right thing to do is. If I go to 68, if I save those 2 liters, is that going to be enough? Let's just go to 70. Let's fill it right up to the top, and let's call it a day. There's still going to be some fuel in the tank, so I'm not putting all 70 liters in, but it is going to fill the tank up entirely. Let's check. I am on those alternate tires. All tires are selected. Fueling is selected. We're good to get in the pits. Hopefully not going to miss the box this time. That can cost us a lot of time, as we saw. Going to lose a few positions here to simply pitting. But, as we bring this in, let's... There we go, right down. I should need to get the fuel limiter on, or the pit limiter on a little bit earlier than that, but doing well. I'm feeling good about that. Let's keep this going. Okay. Let's get a solid stop here. We're going to be on softer compound tires from Brian. So that's great. That's going to be to our advantage, but we're going to have to put pressure on Brian to see how that goes. Let's go. Let's get out of here.
That's it, go.
All right. Drop that down to engine map 1. We are good to go. Let's not spin as we come out of the pits. Got to take it nice and easy. Should have a clean exit. Yep, no one behind except Zachary Hubler. The fantastic stop there. Holy cow. Zachary's so far behind. Where did Zachary come from? That's awesome. I could see Zachary passing me by the end of this race. So, oh no, Phil Kraus, upload packet loss. He was the leader. No, so he gained a position just due to a network failure. Oh, that sucks. Sorry, Phil. Maybe Phil was in second, but still, like, battling with Kevin Burrell there for the lead. That is quite the bummer. And Hubler putting on 2/10 here, just coming out of the pits. I gotta ease into it. We do have some traffic coming up. Nelson here in the 27 car has already been in the pits, so not going in anytime immediate. So we will have to get past Nelson, but Nelson has been letting us by without too much of a fight. Joseph Manning up there in the 17. We'll have to pit before we see them coming around, so that will be solid. That should be good on traffic, apart from maybe the 28. We'll see as everything is kind of coming around and as things finish up. Hubler putting a ton of time! What the hell?
Thank you.
I'm not gonna try and fight Tiger Hubler too hard. If he's putting up this kind of pace now on these alternates, there's only so much I can do. I want to be able to catch up to Brian up there. That was a really early break for me. I'm still on my braking points from the primaries. So still looking good on fuel. That is a 5-lap average that's calculated, so 4 extra tenths, or 4 extra liters is quite a lot. Oh no, let's get around here. All right, Hubler gonna have a heck of a run. Just gonna go ahead and let him by. Look at that, look at that. Great run. What a drive. All right, we'll have to try and just stay with Zachary here, and then maybe we can both catch Brian. Brian keeping similar pace to where we were behind them before. So we'll see how that goes. The 28 just said he's gonna leave now and apologize for something. I wonder what happened. But Hubler, just fantastic laps, great runs there. So not gonna want to fight too much unless I can just stay here, and I'm not giving it enough right now, but I want to stay close. We're catching Brian. Brian is falling back towards us with everything that's happening, and the tires that they're on compared to ours. So if I can take 6th here with Phil Kraus ending up having to drop out. Slow car ahead. Okay, we got a car that just came out of the pits. They lap down. They're off here out of 6, or is this 7? Do they have damage? I can't quite tell. Might have just had a spin. Might have just been a little slow through there, jumping a corner. Not too worried about it. Should catch them as we're coming to the start-finish line, which would be good. Don't want to have someone let you by through these more technical sections. You really want to stay on the line, so it can get quite challenging. Oh, like that. That's I don't know what to do there. Lilac, are you going to let me by? You're pitting in. You're pitting. What is this? What is this? You're pit. Come on! I don't know what this is. So like we were talking about with the 28 car, if something like that is happening, if you are going to pit in and you have a car on the lead lap that's within a second, let's say second and a half, I think it was to Bubler, and you let one of them by, just let them both by. Just let them both by, especially if you're going into the pits. You're not going to significantly lose time. You've already got damage that you know is taking you into the pits, so you're already losing all of that time. An extra tenth isn't going to cost you a ton, but it is going to cost those cars in the lead lap. So something to consider if you're ever in that situation. Just let cars by and make it predictable. Don't come off the racing line back to the apex, blocking on the racing line, and then hitting the apex again, and then, you know, with the damage, hit the wall. That's what I was worried about with the 28 previously, is if they're going slow, what's an incident, how are they going to potentially impact my race? So I'm thankful that I wasn't pushing too hard there. That could have ended both of our races if I had been pushing hard, but wasn't. So still making up time on Brian here, so that's good. That is the goal we're targeting, is catch Brian. Zachary is going to get ahead, so taking 6th place here is going to be awesome. I would love to catch Zachary, but he is flying. One day. And Zachary started pretty far back, so great run out of there. I didn't even notice, like, kind of the differential coming back. I wasn't paying that much attention behind, and I should have, so that's on me from a race management perspective, but not much I can do about that either. Like, what was I going to drive faster? So looking at fuel, we got 1.4 liters remaining. That should be good to use almost all of the push to pass that I have. We should, yes, we're 4.4 laps in, so we'll see this time around what we're looking at on fuel to add. That full 70 liters might have been exactly what we needed. Blue and a negative number there in that box of fuel to add is what we're looking for. I will have to fuel save if that goes high. It will go red. I think it'll stay dark blue, but that needs to be a negative number, or I won't have fuel in the tank. There's like 0.2 of a liter to spare. Not a lot, especially to a track like this where you're like really hammering on the gas out of the last 2 corners here, and a nice long run down into, I don't know when when it would be appropriate to run out of fuel on the straightaway in a tight battle. So half a liter. That makes me nervous about push to pass. I might feel like 2 or 3. You're not using the whole push to pass here. There's quite a lot. We got 9 laps. We're gonna catch Brian. 8 laps. We're gonna catch the 10 car. So if we can keep up this pace, that's a positive. I'm interested in why the 10 car is so close. It might be that they're fuel saving because they did pit 2 laps before I did. So even though they're on those alternate tires, they may need to save 2 laps of fuel, which is quite a lot of fuel to save. But no, their time fall off really happened around the second half of the lap. They probably just got caught behind a car, and that might be messing with the differential there. But Brian just continuing to put pace on, so that's looking good for 6th. A 5th place would be incredible. I could not imagine a top 5 here. With this crew, and it's certainly, even if I got a top 5, you know, count Phil back in there, that's a top 6, because that is couldn't be more of like an unforced error. I don't know what you call it, like that. It's unfortunate. You can call it a mechanical failure if you want to correlate it to kind of what might happen in real life, but that can happen to anyone, and that sucks. You don't want to see. Ooh, see, there we go. Got a red 0.2. I need to save some fuel, so I'm gonna do just a little bit of lifting coming out of some of these corners. I'm gonna stay in field map 1, but I am not going to use push to pass. I am glad I didn't take those extra 2 liters out. I would be fuel saving right now rather than trying to push it, and I would love to gain the positions that I can. I'm still gaining on the cars ahead, which is just awesome. So want to keep that up. Might need to go down into fuel mix 2 here in a bit. We got 16 laps to go, so not a lot of room to play with. The less you can take out over a longer period of time, kind of the better your average lap is going to be. I certainly don't want to have to go into fuel map 8 for a lap or 2, but I think some lift and not even coast. I'm not even going to clutch. Will help things out. Clutching would save a little bit more fuel, but I like using the engine for braking, and it throws off my rhythm if I'm clutching. I can lift just a little bit in these heavy braking zones, and that doesn't impact me too much. So looking at 3 laps to catch Brian here. Brian has those 5 push to passes left, or is that 8? 8 push to passes for Brian. Don't know where Brian's sitting on fuel, but we should be able to make the pass with 16 laps to go, or 15 now. After we get to the line here, do need to save a little bit more fuel, so I am using more than I would expect. I'm going to try and fuel save after I have caught Brian. If Brian is putting up a fight, that is going to significantly burn up my fuel, but I would like to make that pass where Brian's tires are wearing more. I've already completed that with fresher tires, so my tires aren't worn more, and just see how that all plays out versus push it to the end where it's a lot more spicy. Like if we're in the last 10 laps, both our tires are really worn. We've been sitting here for 60 laps, driving around this bumpy, tough course. Even though I've got the pace right now on our tire differential to make that happen, that's going to be tough, and I would like to just kind of get that taken care of as soon as I can. But it's looking like 1 lap, so we're within a second and a tenth here. Where am I at on fuel? 2 tenths, so even with that lifting, it's coming down a little, but not quite enough. So I might be at the point where it needs me to add a liter because I've been pushing so hard. So we'll see how this all plays out with Brian. I need to keep my fuel number in mind as we're essentially battling for this 6th place here. Might go push to pass out of here. No, 4 tenths, and I got a bad exit. Brian got a much better run out of there. Not going to go push to pass, but I should be making a pass here without too much more effort, especially just on this tire differential. Brian really pushing it, or at least taking a different line than they were earlier out of there. So should be able to make this pass happen without too much of a fight. Who we got behind? We got 11 seconds to... Oh, that's unfortunate, but I think I'm going to use push to pass, run into turn 3. I can take the inside there. That'll be positive. I'm using a lot more wheel than I'm going to want to through there. 4.5. All right. Should be getting a better run out of here. Really trying to set up that exit. There we go. Not on push to pass. Brian defending that inside like crazy. All right, bud. Okay. Coming back, hit the wall a little bit there. Running off, really driving the pants off the car. Great driving from Brian. I'm worried about a potential mistake because I'm not too familiar with Brian. Haven't raced with them a lot. Using that push to pass down to 7. Still making up, well, staying pretty even to the 10 car. So running out of laps to make that up if that's going to work. But Hubler putting pressure on the 10 should help there quite a bit. All right. Don't need to beat the car up while I'm losing all of this downforce in my front wing. I just need to make this pass happen. Starting a little early there, trying to, again, just set up a run on the exit. Trying to stay close here to Brian. Second down, so I gotta get this time back, or Brian's gonna be able to hold me off as our tires really wear. 4 tenths, not gonna be able to do anything here. Come on. Oh, we're both on push to pass. I don't think draft's going to be able to do much for me. I'm actually going to back out of that. I want to save the fuel. Don't know where Brian's at on fuel. Should be pretty similar. running longer laps. Don't know if Brian's going to be able to use all that push to pass, but the more I can pressure Brian into using, the more likely it is Brian is going to run out of fuel. I don't obviously want to be stuck behind Brian the rest of this time. Brian might just defend the whole time, but I would love to get past. I thought this would be a lot easier than it is, so good on Brian. This is a very challenging track to pass at, so whew, see what we can do with these last 12 laps. Braking a little early, just trying to save everything. Want a much better exit out of here. Brian getting a little squirrely, getting on the push to pass. I'm just going to try and make this happen. I'm going to hold my position here.
Still there.
Okay. Okay, Brian. That's... Come on. Use the whole track. Like, I backed out of that, or we would have been both fucked. I don't know that that's necessarily appropriate. Like, I think that's a give the position, but I'm clearly biased here because I was the one who got a little bamboozled there, in my opinion. But Brian, you know, certainly entitled to what they did. Really, like, there was no way we were both making it through there. Brian waited till the last minute to brake to make the corner. We could have ended both of our races if I was a bit of a shithead. But I'm a bit of a shithead, not that much. So we'll see how the rest of this plays out. I'm obviously able to stay a lot closer to Brian than I was before, so Brian's tires wearing down a little. We're running 17s, like we're both putting up absolutely horrendous laps with this battle. But we shouldn't be losing time to the folks behind. But yeah, with that mistake from Brian, that run from me, that's unfortunate that that's how that played out. But I got to shake that off and just hit these next, 10 laps. Got 3/10 of a liter to spare here, or to save rather. So Brian made a mistake out of there. I'm not getting on the push to pass. I don't have enough of a real pace here. I would have loved to kind of force that for Brian. Save some fuel, get on the brakes, stay close, keep the pressure up. Ooh, hitting the wall, that's gonna be fine. That's not gonna be damage. My tires are doing fine. I don't wanna beat them up because Brian's tires are gonna be able to take a lot more of a beating. But this is for a position, and to pass someone with 5.4K I rating would be great for an I rating boost to myself.
Great job. Time to go.
Let's see what we can do here. We got 10 laps to go.
Car right. Clear on the right.
There was never no over-under going to happen there. But Brian aggressively defending that inside. Really unwilling to let someone down on the inside. So I am going to have to make that pass on the outside. I'm going to have to get past Brian. So let's see if he's going to use push to pass out of here. I'm very, very close, so I'm just going to rip it. Let's do this.
Car on your left. Still there.
All right.
Hold your line.
There we go. Use the whole track like we were taught previously, and let's just get away. So I am probably going to have to use push to pass defensively, but once I'm outside of a second of Brian, I'm going to want to save some fuel. I'm going to go into fuel map 3, I think, and just try and get really aggressive with saving this last liter and a half. But I should have the pace. There, we're a second away, already like absolutely ripping it, so whew, that was tough. I'm surprised Brian gave me the inside there. I really thought, based off what he had been doing into 3, he would have held the inside and I could have tried to take the outside, but there's a lot of racing left to do. So not going to catch 10 Hayato Matsuda. I hope I pronounced their name right. But already second ahead of Brian, so just going to try and maintain that, keep my pace up, right? We were losing a second and a half to our fast lap previously, and now we're 10th up towards our fast laps. That's going to help with fuel saving, but I do... Thank you for reminding me. I definitely heard you in the future to save fuel. 8/10, that's a lot. That's a lot of fuel to save. So I don't know what Brian has burned, but the worst thing that could happen right now will be to just lose on fuel. That's entirely possible. There's nothing saying I cannot lose on fuel, and right now I've got a big indicator saying I'm going to run out of gas around here as we're bringing it around on that final lap. So need to save enough fuel to just at least get out of this corner with some power. Still keeping time on Brian, so that's what I want to keep an eye on. Make sure that that green, that delta number stays green and that graph stays green. But we do seem to be getting most of our time here out of 1 and 2 onto this main straight. So down to 3/10. That's great. That's great. We're saving this fuel. We're going to be able to go back, I think, to 2 here in the next lap and then just drive normally. No lifts. Just keep it going. So 6th place is great. There's still plenty of laps for me to lose it. There's 7.5 laps to go. This is a long race. This is a tough race. I'm glad there are a lot of fans blowing on me right now. Only 4/10 down. Ooh, that is not cold anymore. I don't know if it's room temperature because it's pretty fucking hot in this room, but that is not cold. Brian gained a little bit of time, so I am gonna go into fuel map 2 on this next lap and see if that's going to give us enough to finish out this race. Brian could just be pushing it. Hasn't used any more push to pass. We're both on 5. I know I'm running low on fuel. Like I can't really use more push to pass, but I will push it. So there we go. We're even right now with that last fuel run. So that was 2 laps on mix 3 out of the 5 that are calculated into the fuel. So I think we're good to switch to 2 right now. Could fiddle around with the calculation a bit more, but there's not a lot of time to really mess with all of that while on the track. So just what I can guesstimate in my head is going to be good enough. That's what's going to take us here to the end. Oh, okay. Putting that time on Brian. Got Olivia and Christopher up ahead. We will catch by the end of the race. Should be fine going into that traffic. I don't remember if we've passed Christopher, but Olivia has been very gracious in allowing us past at opportune times. It's really just going to depend on where we pull up alongside. It could be an unopportune time, but I don't know until we're a bit closer. That's what could give Brian a bit more of a run. I need to avoid those mistakes. We're at 1 point. We were almost at 2 seconds. Down to 1.6, so big mistake there from me. Losing a good deal of time. But my tire advantage should carry me through to the end. There's not a significant amount of wear where you would kind of prefer the primary tires. I prefer the alternates here. It's a very easy choice for me to make. So good on fuel. Might be able to go back to fuel map 1 here. But what I'm going to do is save a little bit of fuel. I want to see as we get closer to Olivia and Christopher, and Lilac, who we almost had that incident with going into the final 2 turns. See where it falls out with them so that we can get past without too much of an incident, because Brian might have an opportunity depending on what happens. So there's a car off here on the left. Where is everything happening? So that is Lilac. Do they have damage? Looks like their wing is still attached. They may have just slowed down, but I certainly have... Oh, come on. Let's not do the same thing again. Come on. Let's get through this set of corners. Let me by before the start finish. We'll be solid. We'll be solid. If we're blocked going into 1 and 2 onto the main straight, that's going to be hugely impactful here. So
5 laps to go.
I'm taking it a little slow because I don't know my pace up versus Lilac, but Lilac led me by here. So I will take that.
You have about 5 laps of fuel.
A lot more stressful than I think it needed to be, but I was doing that to myself. I had no indicator that the previous laps, and that could have just been a mistake. Shit happens. But I do want to keep that pace up against Brian. We're at 2 seconds, 2.2 seconds. Just need to keep flowing through here. So we've got 1.4 laps until we're catching Olivia. That might be around turn 3, so we'll see as we're finishing this next lap where that could play out. Need to keep that gap to Brian. Brian will have to get past them as well, but I have to get past them first without something happening. It just, of course it's possible. Something could happen. Let's finish these laps. Thank you. Awesome, 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 awesome. Okay, let's finish this up. 8/10 down on a fast lap. We got 4 laps to go. Okay, I want to make sure my voice volume is down, so as the race is finishing, we're not getting too much noise from everyone. It's still there. It's not silent, but it is down enough. And let me know in the comments if it's not. I watch the videos back, but it sounds fine to me. I can wrestle in my head about it a million times over. But oof. This lap and then 3 more. Just got to bring this home. I am still pushing a little. I'm not taking it easy. This isn't just smooth sailing home. We got 2.5 seconds back to Brian. We still got Christopher up ahead, who we're going to catch in 1.3 laps. So it'll be around the same point, though Olivia did slow down for us before 12 there. See how that goes. Christopher doesn't have, they're in 13th place. 12th isn't right ahead, so they're not fighting anyone. That is where it gets a little bit more interesting, that someone is more likely to let you by. If they're in their own race, it can be tough to give up on your race as a car going a lap down to let a car on the lead lap by. Everyone has a right to race no matter which lap they're on. So I get it. I get someone fighting for position a lap down, and I need to keep that in mind as the car on the lead lap. I don't want to lose my race due to something like that happening, an incident happening, because they're fighting and I was getting overly aggressive, trying to pull off some sort of stupid move. So I will just try and take it easy. 3 seconds back to Brian there. Don't know if that fall off is fuel saving. Could have been just as simple. Seems to be pretty consistent. I'm going to chalk it up to fuel save just based off of the amount of push to pass we're using and the fuel differential I've had on the primaries versus the alternates. Thank you. Whew. All right. So we're coming up on 2 to go at the line. 68 laps nearly completed. It's been a long race. I'm going to be spending a lot of time here at Detroit. It is one of my favorite tracks. It is so much fun to drive in the IndyCar. I hope that all of this doesn't mean that I'm going to, saying all of this now, doesn't mean I'm going to bin it. I can feel like the tone change, that like it's, we're getting towards the end there. Brian, 3.5 seconds behind. Not really, I am catching 4th and 5th, but I'm not going to make up 9 seconds in the next 2 laps. Not without something happening. They've got Nelson up ahead, who's the 27 car there. I think that we're fine. We're fine, if I can just hold 6th and bring this home. Need to make it easy enough. I have more than enough fuel, but I'm not going to go back into fuel map 1. I'm going to treat fuel map 2 here as a little bit of saving me from myself and getting on the gas too much. As long as I'm still putting time on Brian, I'm not... Oh, and Brian, I think, made a mistake there. Huge dip. I think maybe they hit the wall coming out of turn 3. Almost 11 seconds down and just a huge drop at that point in the track. So that's a bummer, Brian. Oof. That you can see that bright blue bar above Brian's name and that 1:15.824. That just shows I've put a significant amount of relative time on Brian. So I think that was just an incident, either turn 3 or turn 4 there. I think that it looks like turn 3. So that's a bummer, but this is the last lap. The 10 and the 7 are fighting each other, but the 10 on push to pass, I think they'll be fine. Like, they're both great racers. They're not going to get into each other. They're going to happily, fight this tooth and nail respectfully. It is the last lap of a 70-lap race, so there's a lot of exhaustion going into it, but I don't expect anything to happen there. I think we're going to happily come home in 6th. I started this race saying I was happy in the top 10. I am currently in the top 10. I still have to bring it home. You know, started in 7th, so if we consider Phil Kraus, who lost internet connectivity, right, 7th place. So I was pumped with my qualifying time, given the state of the track and just what everyone else was able to do around me. So to bring home 6th, you know, an essential 7th place. Ooh, huge time loss there for Zachary and Hayato, but it looks like they're fine. Like, it's not, now it's going back up. Not a huge difference there, but there's the race. That was a long one. Holy cow, it is good to be back in the INDYCAR at Detroit. Like I said, I'm going to be here a lot this week, just trying to get more iRating. I want to pump that up. But, what a race. What a race. Thank you all for sticking around through all of this. That got really exciting towards the end. There were some pretty boring moments just turning laps, but what a fun race. Oh, man. All right. I will catch y'all later. Have a good one. Bye.